I stopped drinking alcohol 1 year ago, and here is what happened. Guys, for the best advice on high ticket sales, high performance habits, and mindset, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you're alerted whenever I release a new video. I'm going to do 2 to 3 per week here on YouTube. Okay, so over the past year, I made the decision to quit drinking alcohol, and it honestly turned out to be the very best decision I have ever made in my life. And I made a lot of great decisions, a lot of bad ones. And I'm not joking when I say that. So if you're a salesperson, if you're a business owner, I am going to share exactly why you need to quit drinking alcohol forever. And if I were running a full sales team right now, I would have a no alcohol policy. You know, Andy Elliott says, oh, you gotta have a 6-pack to work for me. I would say, yeah, you gotta be in shape, but no alcohol. It's that important for performance. So first things first, you might be asking, why would you do it? What are the reasons why? Let's tally them up. So as of the day of shooting this, it's November 3rd. The last day I drank was November 11th last year, which is Remembrance Day here in Canada, or Veterans Day, the equivalent in the States. I went out drinking with my buddies. As usual, we typically go out every weekend, and I was ripping around on an electric scooter at about midnight, and I crashed and I hurt my wrist, and it was just the last straw. So I realized that my biggest area of regret in life was always around drinking. And I had tried previously a few times in my life to quit drinking, but usually it only lasted 1 month. And it wasn't until I shifted my core beliefs that I finally made it stick. And that's something I'm going to circle back around to in a second. I didn't realize how much drinking actually affected me until after I quit for a few months, and I started looking back and comparing and contrasting to how I felt then versus now. So alcohol, it makes you less productive. You have less mental clarity. It made me fatter. I had dad bod. You know, I thought I was in good shape. It gives you man boobs. It gives you the spare tire. It makes you fatter. Let's be honest. You know, you get the dad bod, you get the beer gut. Nobody likes it. It makes you poorer. Not only are you spending money and wasting time, think of all the time that you waste the next day because you're sleeping in and you're losing all that productivity. And then there's studies that actually show that alcohol affects your brain. I think it's up to like 11 days after you drink. For me, I wouldn't get back into the swing of things until, let's say, like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And by that time, it was already too late. You know, 2 days later, boom, right back to it. Just go drink again, and the cycle repeated. And I was too stupid to realize that this was happening. I mean, let's be honest, alcohol is a literal poison. Why are we rewarding ourselves for a hard week of work with alcohol? The cons is actually very long, and the list of pros are what? You have fun? I'm 35. When does the party stop is what I told myself. I was not where I want to be in my life. I was moderately happy. I had moderate success in the past. I got in moderately good shape, but alcohol was always a backdrop of my life. I started drinking when I was 16, and then I didn't stop until 34. And that's a lot of wasted potential. It's one of the most painful things looking back. Knowing how much more I've gotten done since quitting, which I'm gonna show you, it's astronomically painful to think of how much potential I wasted over the past 20 years. The biggest belief that I had to break was that it was cool to drink, that it was a reward for hard work. If anything, I think of it like a tax now. You work all year round, and then, hey, congratulations for making all this money, pay us 30% of it, or 40 or 50% wherever you live. You know, so it's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Alcohol is the exact same thing. And the bottom line is, when I quit, I had no idea what my life was going to look like 1 year later. Hands down, the biggest problem with alcohol is losing momentum. Momentum is like the 8th wonder of the world. It's not compound interest. When you're in momentum, you're unstoppable. In momentum in your body, in your bank account, in your sales, in your content, your personal brand. There's no feeling like momentum. You can't buy it. Waking up early, getting to the gym, boom, boom, boom. It's once you're in momentum and you're doing positive habits and you're making money and you're making progress in all these different areas of your life, it's harder to not do that than to do it. Do you understand? Most people, they keep interrupting their momentum, and that's why they really never get anywhere. It's not that they don't have the skills or the know-how. You're probably way smart, but you're sabotaging yourself with negative habits. And so if you're doing the same pattern that I did, where you would get a few days of progress and then you go and party, it's like momentum crashes to a halt, and then you got to start over again. And so that's why people's progress is like up, down, up, down, up, down. And in sales, it's like up, rut, up, rut. It's kind of like that. And so really, what we're talking about here is eliminating the biggest eliminator or friction point, the biggest slower downer, that's a word, of momentum. And I have to laugh because when I finally realized that I always thought my biggest problem was a lack of sales skills, my best month when I was selling for Cole Gordon was in January. And we'd just come off of Christmas. I was mad because I missed my projection, so I was committed to hitting 30 sales that month. And it just so happened that every weekend here in Canada, we had a massive blizzard. I couldn't leave my apartment. And so what did that mean? I didn't drink. I was locked in with my habits. I ended up crushing my goal. I hit 30 sales and everyone was like carrying me on their shoulders. They're like, wow, that was crazy. And I'm like, wow, I'm the best ever. I didn't correlate the two, that me not drinking and being locked in with my high performance habits turn into high performance results. I didn't correlate the two. I thought it was sales skills, and then February hit, boom, I went right back to drinking. Guess what happened? Rut. The next 4 months were horrible. And that leads us to problem number 2, is that alcohol affects your performance. Not only does it affect you, like you're not fully there, your brain's kind of messed up for the first few days after drinking. If you go as hard as I did, it messes up your sleep too. So you might be out partying all night, you might not go to bed until 5 a.m. Me, I'm up at 2:40 a.m. every day now, like clockwork. And it's not like, oh, I gotta like drag myself out of bed. I'm up, like lights on, I'm up, ready to go. I'm up doing 100 burpees, 1 set. I'm crazy, okay? I'm not saying to be like me completely, but these are habits that I built over time, and the initial starting point was cutting the alcohol. And then I would stop sleeping in until 10 a.m. Basically what happened was when I was drinking, I would sleep in until 10. I'd have sales calls at 11. And my brain would be in such a fog, and I'd be like, oh my God, I got calls now. And I'd be like, no, God, please, why? And then I'd roll out of bed, and I just wasn't prepared. And so the biggest initial boost for me was getting up early enough. I started waking up at 5. And that for me was a game changer, because 5 a.m. was like, I couldn't believe it. But that allowed me to get to the gym, to get in a good pump on, to elevate my mood, to listen to some sales calls, some sales training, to get myself in the prime state for my sales calls, so that by the time I got to the call, I had been up for hours and I was locked in, and my sales productivity, my sales numbers just went boom. So just to reiterate the point, high performance results don't just come from high performance skills and sales. They also come from what you do outside of work. In fact, it's more important how you're resting, how you're preparing for work. I have a whole system around it of compressing myself in the morning, so that the hardest part of my day is when I wake up early and I hit the gym. And then by the time I get to my sales calls, I have all this energy and I can deliver that to the prospect. I can be fully present. I can be in a great state of mind. I can handle any objections they throw at me, and it just bounces off me like Superman. And then boom, I go right back to sleep. And because I'm not drinking, I'm out partying, I am getting into constant momentum. There's nothing slowing me down. So before we go on, I have a question for you. Have you been living like that Wolf of Wall Street sales guy life? Or are you already sober? Let me know in the comments below. Now the third thing, what happened when I actually quit alcohol was becoming more consistent. So I decided to make consistency my new baseline. Okay, I decided to do things out of the pure habit of building consistency. So what did I do first? Number 1, I started learning new languages. I learned Italian, I learned Spanish. I started producing content on Instagram. If you go to my Instagram, you can search for the past year. I've done 2 videos, 2 reels a day, and I have not missed one day. Before my old coaching business, I would do a bit of content, and then I would go party, and it would take me like a week to do some more. And then the same BS kind of pattern as my sales, where it's like you make a bunch of money, you party, and then like you just completely lose momentum. So this year, again, I haven't missed a single post on Instagram, even when I was in Costa Rica, climbing the tallest mountain in Costa Rica, where we got to the very top. I still did not miss a post. I found Wi-Fi, I found an internet signal up there at the top of the mountain. And I got that post out because the habit of consistency was more important to me. And then the next biggest thing was weight loss. Guys, I thought I was in good shape before. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I was actually 212 pounds. I'm gonna post a picture up here. I was about 212 pounds, around 23% body fat. Flash forward to today, I'm down to 175, around 8.6% body fat. So pretty drastic difference. I'm able to maintain that. And one of the things is I just had the willpower, the clarity, the mental discipline to execute these things that I always knew I should be doing. But I mean, alcohol is just such a drainer of your willpower that you don't realize until you quit. And what about all the money that I saved from not going out and partying every weekend? Well, guess what? I reinvested all of that into travel. I always wanted to travel to all these different countries. So in May, I went to Poland, checked out Warsaw. In June and July, I was in Colombia. In September, I was in Austin, Texas. I was in Costa Rica the same week. I just got back from Dubai, and I'm planning my next trip now as we speak. And yes, even though I was in Colombia and Poland, where it's very easy to buy alcohol, alcohol's cheaper than water, and there's extracurricular activity, shall we say, haha, I didn't do any of that. Because, why? Because I have the correct core beliefs now. I changed the way I saw alcohol and drugs. It's no longer fun. This is only something that takes away from my overall purpose. It takes away from everything I've been building. I've been building a character, okay? I've been building myself into a person that is disciplined, that is focused, that is able to do the things that I need to do. But I must say that when I quit drinking, I had no idea that I would be able to travel so much in such a short amount of time. It's been actually crazy. But so let's talk about the cons. There are a few cons. The cons are, I used to use alcohol a lot as a crutch on dates. When I would hang out with my friends, it's not that I wasn't comfortable around them, but all we would do is drink together. And so that kind of went away, and I kind of grew apart from my old drinking buddies and my dating life, to be honest. Like, it got weird for a while, and I had to figure out different hobbies to do that didn't involve going out for drinks. And when you're in a small town in Canada on the East Coast, like, everyone drinks, so you're kind of the weirdo, which is, it is what it is. But here's what I realized. Most people use alcohol and drugs as a crutch because they're too afraid to express themselves, they're too afraid to let the real them out. There's all these rap songs that say, "Oh, when I'm high, that's the real me, dude." And I think that's so stupid. All you're saying to the world is that I don't have the courage to be who I am. And one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself is to be unapologetically you. So if you see me on Instagram, you see me on YouTube, you see me in real life, I guarantee there is no difference between what you see and what you get. I'm not one of these guys that's putting on some weird show. I'm me, and I've been able to do that because I just let go of that crutch. Giving yourself permission to fully be you is such a massive gift you can give yourself. And I will say that there's one bonus thing that I wasn't going to share this, but to be honest, this might be the most valuable part of not drinking, and that is heightened mental clarity and a sense of consciousness. So here's what I mean. There's a certain amount of clarity that you get overall when you're sober. Once I got rid of the alcohol, and then I started eliminating these things that I regret from my life. Like, if you've ever gotten like a creative download, suddenly you just had this burst of energy. It was like that every single day. And then if you ever gone downtown and just walked around the bar scene and you've seen people walking around who are just completely drunk, if you look at their eyes, they're almost completely black. It's almost like they're possessed by a demon. And if you ever look at like a spiritual guru, you look at their eyes and they're sparkling, they're full of life, they're full of vitality. And basically they're just fully conscious, they're fully present. And think of how powerful it is when you're completely there, when you're talking to somebody on a sales call, on a Zoom or in person or whatever you do. Maybe you're just in your content. They can feel you. They can feel you a lot more than if you're half present, half conscious. And so there you have it, guys. I made more money from my sales and in my business. I was able to grow my personal brand a lot. I was able to get absolutely shredded. I was able to travel to 5 countries. I was able to get way more disciplined, go from waking up at 10 a.m. feeling a piece of garbage to waking up at 2:40 a.m. like clockwork, which is, it's insane. I wouldn't say do that, but beyond that, I was able to learn 2 languages, Espanol and Italiano, because my old girlfriend was Italian, but I switched to, it's a whole thing, never mind. But here's the best part of all. I just feel better about myself. Look, I'm no longer looking for happiness in the exact place I'm losing it. So now that you know what can change for you if you make this decision, A, how much more it can help you in your business and your sales, and if you want any support at all, feel free to message me on Instagram. The link should be somewhere down here, but it's Ben W. Byrne. If you need anything, just DM me. And of course, if you're looking to sharpen your sales skills, apply to work with me one-on-one. Should be a link down in the description. And if you got value from this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And make sure you check out this next video if you want to learn more about my story and what I've learned in the past 6 years in the high ticket space. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. Stay great. I'll see you in the next one.